Everybody, it's Jolene Park, and I'm back this Monday morning with another conversation with a gray area drinking coach. And today, Margo will be joining us, and she went through my coach training last year. And she will come on to talk about her experience through my coach training. And she's also, I'm really excited to have Margo on because Margo was I see you guys joining. Welcome, those of you who are coming on the live. Margo will be talking with me today about her experience as a private client of mine who then went into my coach training and is now in my alumni coach mastermind. So she's been through the whole series with me, and I've mentioned many times that at this point, I used to say it was half of my private clients were coaches and healthcare practitioners, but at this point, I'd say almost 80% of who I work with is coaches, therapists, doctors, nurses, nurse practitioners, social workers, nutritionists, life health coaches come to me for one-on-one private coaching. So Margo says she's not getting the link to join. It should pop up, Margo, that says request to join. Hang on just a minute and see if it pops up in the scroll. There should be a little, or just kind of scroll down. You can see the people who have joined, and there might be a little Instagram note that says request to join. So anyway, Margo came in as a very, very typical one-on-one client that I work with, a very high-achieving professional woman. She'll tell you all about that. We work together one-on-one in my gray area drinking coaching, and then she was already a coach herself when she worked with me, and then said after working with me she wanted to go into my coach training. So she's going to share that trajectory of her experience working one-on-one, going into the training process, and now coaching other gray area drinkers herself, setting up that arm of her business. And she still works with me in my alumni mastermind group for other coaches. All right, so Margo, I know you're looking for that link. There should be a little request to join in, as you see people popping on. There you are. Here she comes. Hold on, guys. Margo's coming. Hold on.
No, I got it.
Welcome, Margo. Good to see you.
Hi, good to see you. I had to get on my phone. It wouldn't work on my Mac. So I'm on my phone. That was what the issue was.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, definitely. I don't think we can do this on computers. I think definitely on phone. So you guys, this is Margo. Welcome. Margo, tell everybody a little bit about yourself, your background, your professional background.
Sure, yeah, and thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate this opportunity. And yeah, I am a professional coach, like Jolene has said, and my background is in rehabilitation counseling. I have a master's degree in rehabilitation counseling, and I worked for over 30 years in that field and as an expert witness, and then transitioned to coaching about 3.5 years ago. And in addition to a professional coaching certification, I have two certifications in the Enneagram. I am both an Enneagram teacher and an Enneagram leadership individual and team trainer. So I've got certifications up to my eyeballs, and I have a gray area drinking specialist certification.
Yes, you do. And you are definitely an expert in the Enneagram, and I love all of your wisdom and offerings that you have there. So that is what you came in with when you were working with me. And it's so fun to talk with you because I mention this all the time, but Margo, you really are very typical of who I work with in my private coaching is, I say the women I work with have very impressive professional resumes and life resumes. And you are a great example of this. So we worked together one-on-one. You came to me saying, like many professional women do, saying, I function really well. I don't have that stereotypical problem that with alcohol that's been painted in society as what we think of as a problem.
Yeah.
And I want to work with, you wanted to work with me privately in coaching around your gray area drinking. So do you want to share more of your story, your personal story?
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely can. And it was, I, like you and a lot of women, I got to that place where I'm like, I cannot do this one more day. I mean, I can't do it. And I'd quit before, and then I would just always go back to it, back to drinking. Then pretty soon it was every day. And there were a lot of things in my life that were happening. I've done personal development work for a long time, and had a lot of things in alignment. And I woke up one morning and I was actually coaching someone, and my head was so muddled from having had wine the night before. And I thought, I can't do this. I'm so out of alignment with who I want to be as a woman, as a coach, as a person in this world. And I just, like, that was the day a switch flipped. And I reached out to a mutual friend of ours who referred me to you, and that was it. I worked with you for 60 days, right? And then, was so impressed that later, when I had the opportunity, I signed up for your training. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. What impressed you about the coaching work that you went through, that we did together? Because like you said, you are a coach. Self-development. I know you've been in a long-term group working on yourself, which again is such the case of so many of my clients.
Yeah.
So what was it, with our work together that was different about some of the other personal development work that you've done and knew? Because you came in, as many clients do, knowing this stuff.
Yeah, I
You've
know.
read the stuff, you've
Yeah.
studied it, you know it. So what was different?
So some of it was that I do well with a lot of structure, but I don't do well imposing structure on myself. And with you, it wasn't like you were saying you must do this and this and this, but it was this back to basics approach. It was the neurophysiology, and I'm a total brain nerd. I studied physiology in college, and it all made sense to me. Like, oh, okay, this is what's happening with my brain. And I'm the kind of person who, I have a lot of drive, I have a lot of energy, I have a lot of anxiety. And my solution to all of those things was to work harder, push through, just keep, not take breaks, just keep pushing, pushing, pushing. And then what was happening is I was so wiped out by the end of the day, I wasn't making good choices. I was overeating, and I was reaching for a bottle of Chardonnay, and so it was just understanding the physiology of it, and really having the regular check-ins with you, and just back to basics. Like, what are you doing during the day that you enjoy? What's working for you? All those that seem so simple. I mean, there were times in our coaching where I was like, really? Is this what I'm paying you for? But it all worked. It all worked. And I don't know. It just, I don't know what else to say about it. It was exactly what I needed when I needed it. And it worked. And I've been sober ever since.
Yeah. Yeah. Wonderful. What did you, because I don't have the notes right in front of me, but what did you walk away with our coaching of, kind of the things that stuck? Because a big part for me is, and I'm always saying to clients, this isn't about just jumping through hoops, as you're working with me, that you're doing it as kind of a check-in, and then you go back to your life after coaching. So It's always big for me of, we're building up this piece that even then when clients aren't working with me, you've taken away, you've grooved these pathways, these kind of this new neuroplasticity to carry with you. What did you carry with you immediately, kind of outside of the coaching, that you kept with you?
Yeah, it was these regular practices throughout the day to help reset and calm my nervous system. For me, that was the most important stuff. Now, it might not be for everybody, but I tend to get ramped up. And so what I do is, I actually set my timer sometimes for depending on my state, like anywhere from 20 to 90 minutes, and I take a break. When my timer goes off, I take a break. I'm more structured and more, I have a more established routine, which, um, I would tend to resist that, and just kind of like fly by the seat of my pants. Well, that doesn't really work for me when I'm trying to stay healthy, because then I'm not making great choices. So that's what I kept is the meditation. I do morning pages. I write in a journal in the morning. I take breaks during the day, even if it's just to get up and do something like fold dish towels or chop some vegetables for my lunch, or things that I find relaxing and that just take my mind off of what I'm doing and calm me down. There's some breathing techniques. I mean, that's what really has saved me. And I notice that if there's days, and there still is, that I have like back-to-back appointments or Zoom calls or something, I really feel it. I really can tell that I haven't been taking care of myself during the day.
Yeah, yeah. And the 90-minute break, I do remember that became a real baseline for you. And
Mm-hmm.
there's science there,
Mm-hmm.
as there always is with whatever I'm pulling in. It's not just like, oh, I heard this, like, try it. The science is our energy dips after 90 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
It's a real physiological piece. And so knowing that, and where that came from was actually my corporate wellness work of where they would look at high performing athletes, like real elite athletes, and then use their strategies that they were using neurobiologically with corporate executives.
Mm-hmm.
And high performing elite athletes don't run nonstop for 6 hours. I mean, even marathons, they finish before then. So there
Right.
has to be that output of energy and then that replenishment of energy. And they found when they track biorhythms that every 90 minutes is when the biorhythms dip. And so that's why I introduced that 90-minute concept in, because it has neurophysiology back to it. And I remember you really grabbing onto that and using that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I still do.
Cool. I love that. I mean, that's the whole piece that's so meaningful to me is, again, it's not just working with clients to jump through hoops while we work together and get gold stars from me, but things that resonate with your neurophysiology that you use months and years after working together. So, Margo, we completed our one-on-one coaching work together, the gray
Uh-huh.
area drinking coaching. You haven't drank since.
Right.
And then you decided to go through my coach training. So what intrigued you about taking that step into the training program?
Well, my work in coaching is primarily with women who are a lot like me and the women that you're coaching, and high achievers, professionals, women who have raised their families and who aren't taking care of themselves. And for me, and working with the Enneagram, it's this work and leadership and personal growth is all an inside job. And my sort of tagline is, before you take on the world, you better take on yourself, right? So it's what you're teaching, or what you were talking about teaching in your training, is exactly the kind of thing that was a perfect complement to the kind of coaching I'm doing already. And I was so transformed by this process of not drinking anymore and learning why I was drinking in the first place and making changes, that I really wanted to incorporate that into my coaching. And so it was so great to learn all of those techniques, but with more of the foundation, more of the science behind, all of the reasons for coaching the way you coach, which of course we didn't do when I was working with you. But so the coach training, I loved how structured and systematic it was, how research-based, science-based it is. So that was my motivation, and I'm really glad that I took it. It has actually it continued to benefit me and my own personal wellness and self-care, but also added really just this tremendous benefit to and value to my coaching with women.
Yeah, yeah. So for those of you who are just joining, Margo was a previous client of mine. We worked together one-on-one. She is a coach herself, has a very impressive career resume behind her in self-development, came to me for one-on-one gray area drinking coaching. which is very, that's what my private practice is many, many professional women who are already in the healthcare industry themselves. So Margo is a great kind of profile of who I work with. And then after we did that one-on-one work together, she went through my coach training, which I brought her on to talk about now. And then now she's in my alumni mastermind. So Margo, with the coach training, and I love that you have that niche and that foundation and expertise with the Enneagram in your coaching already, that you, I mean, you had that in place coming in, and then you put the gray area drinking nuance and kind of that ongoing professional development on top of what you already had. So how, with all of your expertise, how do you work now with your clients, adding in the gray area drinking piece?
Yeah, sure. So I use it all the time. And so I do work, I have some clients who come to me just simply for leadership and personal development. And then I also work with one-on-one and groups of women who only want to focus on the gray area drinking piece. So with them, I use, a pretty similar, I created a 30 to 60 day program, both for individuals and for groups. And go through very systematically, like, here's how your nervous system works, here's what's happening, here's why you're reaching for a glass of wine, and all of the strategies, and getting them to find their own strategies for what's working for them, and how they can quit drinking or change their relationship with alcohol. Not everybody who comes to me wants to quit drinking for good, but some people do, and so I use it all the time, of course, with those clients. And even with my clients who are coming to me for leadership training, we had already been talking about, just the basics of why change is so hard. People they beat themselves up about, like, why can't I do this? I know this stuff. You say that all the time, that I know this stuff. Like, I don't understand why I'm not making better choices. And there's a physiology behind why change is so hard. And so what I learned in your program really augmented what I already was doing with my clients in helping them understand these survival instincts that we have, and the innate patterns that we develop over the course of our lives that really make it's like almost counterintuitive to change, because it's uncomfortable, but my coaching work really focuses on, let's start with what's right with you. Let's start with what's working. And you do that too. And so it was such an amazing compliment. Your training it just was so symbiotic with what I was already doing. Yeah, it was perfect.
How is it different from other trainings? Because again, remind everyone the trainings that you had coming into my training.
Sure. Well, I had a professional coach training, which is, of course, the training that I went through in particular was focused on executive leadership. And so, there's training about limiting beliefs and, patterns that get in your way and so forth. But there wasn't as much focus on, there wasn't any focus on the physiology of it, or the understanding of really even getting into the emotional component, understanding, how do you feel and what's going on in your body. That's the other thing I really loved about your training, that it was so compatible with my Enneagram work, was the somatic piece, like what's happening in your body. And that wasn't part of my training as a rehabilitation counselor, and it wasn't part of my training as a professional coach. And I think without that somatic piece and understanding what's happening in your body, sooner or later, you're going to hit a wall. Yeah.
I agree. Share a little bit about the Enneagram work and how you've blended that now that you have the gray area drinking piece, and how you combine those two with your clients.
So the Enneagram is, without getting into too much detail about it, is a system of personal growth, and it's a system of understanding yourself really deeply. And that's kind of where it all starts. When you understand yourself, you have more freedom to make choices and more compassion for yourself. It's a way of instead of beating yourself up for doing the same thing in the same way, it's having this understanding like, oh, of course, that's my type pattern. Now, where can I go from here? That's a better choice for me. Um, so it's self-awareness, self-regulation, and self-compassion is really what the Enneagram is all about. And a lot of people understand the Enneagram as a personality system. And while it talks about the psychology of personality development, it's so much more than that. It's so much more. It's really a way to know yourself deeply, and really, it's like having a manual, like an owner's manual for what makes you tick, and having like a way to understand like why you think, feel, and do what you do. And God, it's been the most transformational thing in my life that I've ever encountered.
Yeah, I think it's a great combo. I love that you offer the combo together, because gray area drinkers are very heady and love the intellectual piece, me included. It's like, give me all the nerdy kind of piece. I want to understand it. And so the Enneagram offers a vehicle for that. I've said that many times, like, I just want the owner's manual. Like, I just want the roadmap.
Yep.
And the Enneagram is that. It's a very detailed way to understand kind of, your psyche, your constitution, and then you have then the gray area drinking physiology to layer on top of it. And I think it's just such a beautifully niche offering to have those two together. So where can people find you if they're interested in, kind of this combo of the Enneagram and gray area drinking?
Yeah. So my website is margoburnscoaching.com, and my email is wakeup@margoburnscoaching.com. And my website's a work in progress. I'll just be honest about that right now, but it does describe my one-on-one package for gray area drinkers. I'll have another group coaching coming up in September, starting in September, for either 30 or 60 days. The one-on-one I'm doing all the time. And for the leadership coaching and personal development coaching, I have different packages for that as well. So yeah, it's all on my website.
Cool. And I'll put that below this recording. I'll link your website.
Thank you.
So those of you who are on the live, if you have a question for Margo about the Enneagram, about her gray area drinking experience, or just anything that you've heard her share and you'd like to ask a question, feel free to pop that in the chat. Margo, what do you want to add? What did I not touch on, or what's
well, I know you have an upcoming training, right? And I just want to give it a resounding endorsement. I really I both personally and professionally benefited from your training. I love the science-based, the neurophysiology based, and really practical. It's people can walk away, after a week or 2 weeks of this training and start working with clients. And there's no gimmicks involved. There's no hard sell to become, part of a group. You do have the mastermind group, which I love, and I've been a part of since you started it. And that has been really beneficial also professionally, really great support for those of us who are getting that part of our business off the ground, because you yourself are doing constant searching and constant learning and constant research, and so we're always getting the latest and greatest of what you're learning, which I love.
Margo, you froze.
I can't hear.
I don't know if it was. I know something's
going
shoot.
on. Oh, can you hear me?
I think we're back now. There's something glitched for a minute, but.
Oh, shoot. I just gave you the best testimonial.
Oh no.
Well, let me just say it again. Because I think it's important, that there's a couple things that I loved about the training that you have coming up, that the science base of it, the really practical tips, the fact that coaches can start using the information immediately in their practice. And the other thing is that you do, while you offer the mastermind, there's no pressure, there's no gimmicks, for ongoing training. And the mastermind has been really valuable, and what I was saying, I think when I realized that you couldn't hear me anymore is that I really appreciate and admire your ongoing, you're coaching with other people, you are learning from other people, you're always on the hunt for the latest and greatest research, and we are the beneficiaries of that. So that's been so helpful and so valuable.
Thank you for that. Thank you so much. I just did another weekend retreat. I'm a lifelong learner.
Of
I
course you
got
did.
more stuff to share.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good.
and it's the Healthy Discoveries. Healthy Discoveries is the name of my company, which I founded in 2001. And I love finding the healthy discoveries and sharing the healthy discoveries.
Yes.
And yeah, I am in the trenches learning and working with clients. And so thank you for highlighting that, because that is a differentiator. I'm not kind of writing this academically, like up in the ivory white tower. I'm working every day with clients and using that. I bring that back to the alumni group, the mastermind.
Yeah.
My trains are live, so I'm always, as I'm learning, there's new iterations with everything. As I'm working with clients, there's new things to share. And as I'm doing my own study with my own, being a student myself, I'm constantly bringing that back to my alumni coaches and
Yeah.
training groups. So thank you for highlighting that. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for doing it.
Yes, there is another training coming up June 14th. It'll run for 7 weeks. It will be the 8th time that I've taught this. This will be my 3rd year. So if you are a coach or a healthcare practitioner, like Margo herself, and you want to add this professional development training onto what you're doing, it becomes a very nice kind of icing on the cake to really work with your clients' nervous systems, whatever you're working with them on, emotionally, physically, and specifically drinking, when they're struggling with that question of alcohol. And, I am not a certified addiction therapist. I'm not a quit therapist. I don't want to be, and I don't train other coaches how to be. So gray area drinking coaching is for clients who have the capacity and the ability to stop drinking. And then they want that coaching support in practical neurobiological resources and accountability to rewire their nervous system. So if that type of coaching and that type of resource and knowledge is what you're seeking, that's exactly what this training is. So I'm so excited. The group there's already people who have come in. They've secured their deposit for June, but there's more spaces available. So this is going to be a great cohort. If it speaks to you, I'd love to talk with you. The application is on my website. The link is in my Instagram bio. And also, I also welcome and encourage all of you to reach out to former coaches who I bring on here onto the Instagram Live, because they're also happy to speak with you. So reach out to Margo if you have other questions. Again, Margo, I loved and was so happy to bring you on because you were a former private client of mine. You've gone through my coach training and you're now part of my coach alumni group. So you've been through all trajectory of offerings and seen all of it. So what else do you want to add? What do you want to close with?
Well, I mean, there's so much more to say, but I just really want to say how much I appreciate this opportunity. I really love what you're doing for coaches and bringing awareness to gray area drinking. There are different ways to approach it. And, what I learned in the coach training with you is that we were all learning from you and we were all bringing our each unique gifts to it. Some people were artists, some people were essential oils. I work with the Enneagram, and so there's so many ways and so many coaches, to find your right fit, so if you're out there and you're wanting to get sober, or you're just curious about, well, what is gray area drinking and is that me? Gosh, there's a lot of resources for you. And I just hope, you'll find a way to reach out to somebody who seems like a good fit for you and can help you on your way to sobriety or to whatever you want, with your drinking.
Yeah, I agree. It's such a beautiful community gray or drinking coaches. At this point, there's been about 70, I think, who have gone through. And you all come in with an expertise coming into the training. So the expertise being, a nurse practitioner, specializing in women's health, or like yourself, an executive coach specializing in the Enneagram,
Right.
or a life coach specializing in EFT, and different things resonate with different nervous systems.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
And so I really believe that the knit
I don't know if it's I'm frozen or you're frozen, but you're cutting in and out. I'm sorry.
is very, very effective, and ultimately it's really benefits the client.
Thanks. Thank you. Yeah, I think I'm not hearing you. I hope that that's okay.
So it's a very, very unique community.